What made you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Okay guys, Frank Stout, just a guy from Brooklyn. I am back, ready to give you a brand new ranking of my favorite Westerns. Full disclaimer here, this is a good challenge for me because I am not a huge hardcore fan of Westerns. I've seen a ton of them. I've seen John Wayne movies. I've seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I've seen a lot of spaghetti Westerns. I've seen classics like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. None of those movies really I just never gravitated to them. They don't gravitate to me. I did not grow up in the era where kids played on the streets. They played like cowboys and Indians, which I believe now is considered racist. That's definitely an era before me. Westerns have been around since a long time. They're always going to come out with more. They're just really fun period pieces of a time where it was a simpler time, more dangerous, more dirty, that's for sure. And it's just something that we love to go back to that time. Some quick shout outs. My man Danny from Maimonides OR, got a shout out to him. My niece Sabrina, who lives in upstate New York. You're my little Bina, and these are two of my biggest fans. Before any ranking, you know I got to give you my rules. Rule number one, spoilers. These movies are all very old. I'm just going to give you a hard spoiler warning, but I don't plan on spoiling anything. Rule number two, as always, this is a favorites list, not a best list, especially when it comes to something like this. Kicking things off, my lone honorable mention is Lust in the Dust. Came out in 1984. This is a very raunchy Western comedy led by leading lady Divine. Unfortunately, she passed away 4 years later in '88. May she rest in peace. Look, she definitely made her stamp in cinema. She was definitely, one of a kind. Although this was kind of a low-budget affair, there are some, acting legends like Henry Silva and the great Cesar Romero, who played the Joker in the old Batman TV show. Really, really zany, wacky, kind of sexy comedy with Divine doing her thing, and she really just goes all out here.
Always the little one's got something to prove.
Kicking things off at number 10 is The Legend of the Lone Ranger. Came out in 1981. Look, there's no way to get around this. This movie bombed at the box office. This movie bombed with critics. This movie had a remake with Johnny Depp decades later, also bombed. All I know is I grew up watching this movie and I absolutely loved it. Still do. It's kind of like almost like a superhero origin story. It's a revenge story. It has a very young Christopher Lloyd, playing the villain of all things. And he's just ruthless as Butch Cavendish in this. It was also narrated by country singer Merle Haggard. I really enjoyed the score of this one as well. Coming in at number 9 is Dances with Wolves. Came out in 1990. This is a Kevin Costner vehicle. And it's a Western with kind of a Native American point of view. I always consider it to be a very beautiful movie, although the premise is just all too familiar to me. We've seen this before. Pocahontas, Enemy Mine, The Last Samurai, Avatar. The premise just doesn't change with these type of movies, and that's the only reason why it kind of diminishes on my list little by little. Because of that. Coming in at number 8 is Unforgiven. Came out in 1992. This is a big Clint Eastwood movie. Morgan Freeman backs him up. Gene Hackman is there. After a prostitute is disfigured members of her brothel hire a small group to murder those responsible. Hackman, who plays the sheriff, forbids this as he does not allow vigilantism. Eastwood plays a powerful performance in this, especially when he just goes ham at the end of the movie.
That's right. I've killed women and children. Killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, Little Bill.
Coming in at number 7, and yes, I'm smiling, is The Three Amigos. Came out in 1986. Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short, true legends of comedy. The comedy comes from mistaken identity, as they're the Three Amigos, but from movies. They're actors playing the Three Amigos, and a lady hires them to take down some bandits who are terrorizing a small town, not realizing that they're not actual heroes. It's absolutely hilarious. Alfonso Arau, who plays El Guapo, the villain, he just makes the movie for me.
Not so fast, El Guapo! Or I'll fill you so full of lead you'll be using your dick for a pencil.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I think he means that if you...
Shut up!
Coming in at number 6 is Django Unchained. This came out in 2012. This is Tarantino doing what he does. In this case, he's taken an older movie and he's kind of given it his little style to it. You got Jamie Foxx as the lead, and you got Leonardo DiCaprio playing a really, really just downright evil villain. And on top of that, he became a meme out of this. Yes, this is the movie that gave us the Leo meme. The movie does have a lot of shock to it. I mean, Tarantino did get a little bit of heat when he came out with this movie. There's a particular scene where Samuel Jackson just loses it, and it always gives me that little chuckle. Speaking of shocking, coming in at number 5 is Blazing Saddles. Came out in 1974. This is Mel Brooks' insane parody, which pretty much makes fun of anything and everything you can think of. This is definitely a movie that you could not make now, but Mel Brooks, he knew what he was doing, and I think this movie is timeless. You've got Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder.
Maybe a couple of years ago I could have shown you something, but today, look at that.
Steady as a rock.
Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
You got Madeline Kahn doing what she does.
Wet rose. How romantic.
And of course your villains, Harvey Korman and Mel Brooks himself, who plays one of the greatest governors in film.
Just sign right here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, help me in with this. Help me in with this. Help me in with this.
Think of your secretary.
That was a very good suggestion.
Coming in at number 4 is Young Guns. Came out in 1988. Brad Packer's Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, and Lou Diamond Phillips. They pretty much give you Billy the Kid the early years. When I saw this for the first time when it first came out, I was kind of shocked because Charlie Sheen, who, in my opinion, at that moment, he probably was the biggest star of this group of guys. I mean, he had done Platoon. I don't know if he had already done Wall Street, but he was pretty much big deal. And they chose to kill him off, like Marion Crane style from Psycho, early on in the movie. That kind of changed everything and kind of made me kind of scramble to wonder what this movie was really about. I didn't realize what the movie was going for, but I think it was a ballsy move. Estevez plays Billy, and I gotta admit, he seemed to just enjoy playing this role almost too much. Here's a nice little Easter egg if you didn't know. Tom Cruise is in this movie. He was friends with these guys, and he had decided he wanted to be in the movie, even if it's just in a quick little scene. During the big fight, he plays like a small guy, henchman guy who gets shot. It's literally like a blink and you'll miss it kind of scene. Coming in at number 3 is Tombstone. Came out in 1993. Kurt Russell playing Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer playing Doc Holliday. Need I say anything more? Kilmer really showed his chops in this movie playing Doc Holliday, as in real life Holliday was suffering from tuberculosis. The great actor that Kilmer is, he just put everything he had into the role. You can see it. He has like some of the best lines.
Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game.
The big battle of the OK Corral, which is in a lot of movies. They decided to put this battle not at the end of the movie for its crescendo. They put it more towards the beginning, kind of in the middle, almost as a setup for things to come. I really thought it was a bold choice. It made the difference, as there were other movies being made about the exact same story. Like Kevin Costner did a Wyatt Earp movie around that same time. And this one is definitely the one that people remember. And my runner-up at number 2 is The Quick and the Dead. Came out in 1995. This is a Sharon Stone vehicle, although she's got star power everywhere. She's got Russell Crowe. She's got Leonardo DiCaprio, a very, very young Leo. And another Gene Hackman appearance, once again as a villain. This time, he's a really, really more over-the-top villain, which I enjoy that even more. The big difference with this one is they went for more of a tournament-style situation where Gene Hackman basically has this entire town held hostage, but he doesn't want his enemies sneaking up on him, so he holds a tournament every year, a quick draw tournament, so that he can face his enemies right face to face. You know, you love seeing people go down, you know, as the tournament goes on.
Is it possible? Is it possible to improve on perfection? I'm on a different level. In fact, I am the new goddamn mayor of this town!
Stone at this time was pretty popular for Basic Instinct, and I think that they kind of marketed this movie kind of off of that a little bit when it really didn't go that way. She pretty much keeps her clothes on. They kind of even hinted at it in a trailer. I remember they hinted some sort of sex scene, but it doesn't happen in the movie. And my number 1 Western is Young Guns 2, came out in 1990. You take the surviving core of the first movie, you add an up-and-coming Christian Slater, you add Bon Jovi to do the score and soundtrack, you're going to have a masterpiece. Critics really didn't give it its due back then, but this definitely has become a huge cult classic now. Even though this movie is a direct sequel to the first, it definitely has a very, very different feel from the first. Everything from the way it's done, there's multiple reasons why. It's coming at you being narrated from a man who claims to be Billy the Kid himself. This is a real person from real life who claimed that he was Billy the Kid. This is more the end days for Billy the Kid, where he's having less places to hide. He's being hunted by Pat Garrett, who used to be his friend. Just like in the first, you have a really, really nice chemistry with this new group of guys. I'm not a huge Bon Jovi fan, but I do like the kind of punch that he gave. And I've always liked the songs, from the soundtrack. You take Estevez, who was Billy the Kid in the first movie. If you didn't think that was possible, he's even more over the top in this one.
Oh, Bob! Bye, Bob. Best $1.80 I ever spent.
In closing, there's just something about Westerns. You have that grittiness, you have that dust, the old tumbleweeds, the old town, strolling into town, that silent killer, robbing of the stagecoach. You just love all that stuff. These movies are just a huge barrel of fun, and I'm always going to be watching them. So from The City That Never Sleeps, from the BK,
See my face in lights, on my
peace.
name on marquees found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't what it seems, I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle.